Namaste. One thing I wanted to present or talk about was how Vedic culture predates Christianity and talk about the archaeological proof of that. I mean, sometimes there are comments or even controversies amongst those who are less informed regarding whether Christianity or Hinduism, Vedic culture, came first. Some people point out that the devotional elements within the Vedic tradition, especially in regard to the bhakti or devotional movements, must have come from Christianity first and then appeared in the Vedic Vaishnava tradition, the followers of which exhibit much love and devotion to Lord Krishna and Vishnu and his other expansions or incarnations. But this idea that Vedic culture came from Christianity, which some Christian preachers try to use to gain influence and make converts from the Hindus, could not be further from the truth. If they do not look closer at the facts of history, then they will look only like envious fools. The fact is that there is an archaeological proof that the Vaishnava tradition of devotion to Lord Vishnu existed many years prior to the appearance of Christianity. Not far from the Buddhist site of Sanchi in central India, we take a 45-minute ride on the very bumpy road to Vidisha, or Basnagar, where we find the Heliodorus column, locally known as the Kambaba pillar. This was erected by Heliodorus, the Greek ambassador to India in 113 BCE. Heliodorus was sent to the court of King Bhagabhadra by Antilochidas, the Greek king of Taxila. The kingdom of Taxila was part of the Bactrian region in northwest India, which had been conquered by Alexander the Great in 325 BCE. By the time of Antilochidas, the area under Greek rule included what is now Afghanistan, Pakistan, and the Punjab. Heliodorus writes on the stone pillar the time it was erected and the fact that he had converted to Vaishnavism, or the worship of Lord Vishnu. The inscription of the column, as published in the Journal of the Royal Asiatic Society, says, and I quote, "This Garuda column of Vasudeva, Vishnu, the god of gods, was erected here by Heliodorus, a worshipper of Vishnu, the son of Dion, and the inhabitant of Taxila, who came as Greek ambassador from the Greek king Antilochidas to King Kasiputra Bhagabhadra, the savior, then reigning prosperously in the 14th year of his kingdom. 3 important precepts, when practiced, lead to heaven, which are self-restraint, charity, and conscientiousness." End quote. This shows that Heliodorus had become a worshipper of Vishnu and was well versed in the texts and ways pertaining to this religion. It can only be guessed at how many other Greeks became converted to Vaishnavism if such a notable ambassador had done so. This conclusively shows the Greek appreciation for India and its philosophy. It was General Alexander Cunningham, who was doing an archaeological survey in 1877, who first took notice of the significance of the column. However, he did not attend to the inscription that was on it because it was covered with vermilion. This was because the pilgrims who worshipped it had a custom to smear the column with vermilion at the time. It was only in January of 1901 when a Mr. Lake uncovered the paint from what he thought was some lettering. Once the ancient Brahmi text was translated, the historical significance of the column became ever more apparent. The British Sanskritists, due to their overly inflated and superior views of themselves, had developed the idea that much of the Vedic traditions and legends of Lord Krishna had to have been incorporated from the Bible and the stories of Jesus. However, this Heliodorus column was the archaeological discovery that proved to the disappointed British that knowledge of Krishna and the Vaishnava tradition predated Christianity by at least 200 years. The column indicated that the Indians did not adopt legends of Christ put in their Puranas to be used for the stories of Krishna as the British had hypothesized, since this gave proof that knowledge of Krishna predated Jesus by at least 200 years. Of course, anyone who studies ancient history knows that Vedic culture and its philosophy have been around for many thousands of years. Another point to consider is that if a Greek official was so impressed with the philosophy of Vaishnavism that he converted to it in 200 BCE, then it means that Vaishnavism and the element of spiritual devotion to God, as found in the Bhakti tradition, had to have been developed several hundred years, if not several thousand years, earlier in order for it to have developed to a stage wherein the Greeks were so much impressed by it. So this Heliodorus column is a serious historical sight to see. The Heliodorus column also indicates that the Vedic tradition accepted converts at that time. It was not unacceptable for non-Indians to become followers of Sanatana Dharma. Only after the difficulties between Hindus and Muslims was there a hesitancy on the part of Hindus to accept converts to the Vedic tradition. But this no longer makes any sense, because it has become self-evident that for one to become a follower of Vedic Dharma depends on how that person can follow the Vedic principles, not on one's birth. This archaeological evidence further shows that Greece was but a part of Vedic culture and repeated what it and its philosophers had learned from the Vedic sages, rather than being a source of the higher levels of philosophy, as some people think. In other words, they simply repeated what they learned from many of the Vedic Indians. Furthermore, this evidence bears witness to the fact that the Christian tradition and its main element of devotion or bhakti to God was found in Vedic culture long before it appeared within the confines of Christianity. In fact, much of the deeper spiritual philosophy in Christianity is but a repeat of what had been previously established and much more deeply developed in the older Vedic tradition. So, to fathom the more significant aspects of the different levels of devotion to God, one can investigate the Vedic and Vaishnava tradition to learn the finer details, and I advise that one should. I personally visited this place in August of 1991, so I am sharing this information with you to hopefully provide some clarity on the antiquity of the devotion to Lord Krishna and the development of the Bhakti tradition in the Vedic system itself. So, thanks so much, Namaste, and Jai Shri Krishna.